Welcome to day 40, Fitin10 Nation. If you have not booked your third scan, please do so. www.calendly.com/trainonmain. It is nearing that time for your third scan, which is going to happen in about 8 or 9 days from now. And remember, the overall goal for this next scan is an accumulated, that is a total from day one, loss of 20% of your fat mass. So let's take advantage of these next 8 or 9 days or so and really hone in and do our very, very best. Last day, I talked about foods and supplements that help with brain cognition, that help to reduce your chances of developing these neurological diseases like Alzheimer's. And there's one that I failed to mention, a really, really important one, and that is something called lion's mane. And this has been around, to my knowledge, for centuries. It's been used for centuries back east in China specifically. But it's relatively new in terms of its use, or in terms, at least in its popularity in Western society. And lion's mane has been shown to do a couple of things. Number one, it helps with just overall cognition. So initially when you take it, you might notice a little bit more fluency in terms of your brain cognition. But some of the other things that it does, or it's been noted to do, is it helps to reduce inflammation and biological markers of some of these neurological diseases. In particular, you may have heard of amyloid plaque that gets built in the brain. This is typically what we tend to see in people with Alzheimer's and dementia, etc. Another thing that it does is it helps to increase something called nerve growth factor. And this is really important for essentially more nerve innervation in the brain, or perhaps, I don't know if this would be technically correct, but neuroplasticity in the brain. Essentially what we're doing is it's helping to lengthen nerve cells and allow essentially more connections in the brain. So very, very interesting to note. Lion's mane. I carry a product called Mane Brain, and it actually has lion's mane, and I believe it's got some ginseng and ginkgo biloba and a couple other things in there. So if you're interested, let me know and I can give you some of that to try. Although I will tell you one quick thing about the Mane Brain. I can't take it for some reason. It keeps me alert, like way too alert, to the point where I can't sleep at night. So there's some sort of neurotropic in there that I'm very sensitive to. Okay, something I want to talk about today, and I've already talked about this, but I'm going to talk about it again. And this hasn't come from any question from this Fitin10, but I had a previous Fitin10er mention to me the other day that, hey, listen, I know we're doing these boot camps now again because we want to put in some more fat burning classes, whereas the lift camp classes are more for building and bulking. And so I really, really want to emphasize to you, or really want to kind of nail in your brain that the only way that you're going to gain fat is by over consuming calories. It's when we get that higher balance of calories versus we get the higher balance of calories in versus calories out. At the end of the day, very simplistically speaking, that's what it's about. That's how you're going to build bulk. You will never build bulk doing any kind of exercise. Doesn't matter what the exercise is. You'll never get bulky walking or running or cleaning your house or weight training or training light or training heavy. Nothing that expends energy is going to make you bulky. Okay? Yes, weight training can add lean tissue. Yes, weight training can help to build bone density. Yes, weight training can help strengthen your tendons and your ligaments and add more density to these tissues as well. But that is not bulk, okay? Or at least this is not what I think of as bulk. I especially don't think of bulk as tissue that is very metabolically expensive. Because metabolically expensive tissue is only going to burn away fat. Right? This is one reason why we're weight training in this, is right to raise, at the very least to maintain, but if not raise, our total lean body mass. So our muscle mass, bone mass, and some of these other things like ligaments and tendons. Of course, we want to get stronger. We want to reap the other benefits of that exercise. But another reason, when we're speaking specifically about fat loss here, is we have an increase in the metabolic rate. And that's just simply from, especially if you're training with very heavy weights, we are developing more of those type 2 fast twitch fibers. And these fibers are the most energy consuming. So not all muscle cells consume the same amount of energy per unit of time. We have some cells, specific muscle cells, specifically these type 2B type fibers. And these are very metabolically expensive. So these are the ones that we really, really want to develop the most. And we do this by lifting heavy weights. A third way, of course, is just the action of recovery of tissue. When you're recovering, when you have all these micro tears that are developed in the muscle, when we're trying to restore these fuels back into the muscle cell that we've depleted while we've worked out, there's a bunch of stuff that has to take place, and this doesn't happen over a couple minutes. This takes hours or days. It takes days for this to happen. And so this is an energy. This is an energy requiring a bunch of processes. This is a big part of metabolism. Okay, metabolism, all the stuff that it takes to just keep us going. Okay, to sustain us. This is a very, very important part that you need to remember from weight training that you're not going to get from other exercise. Because weight training has well, it's a long-term, when it comes to recovery, it's long-term, right? It's taking a number of days for your body to recover from that level of muscular damage that's been created. So really, really important. So if you're weight training on a regular basis, you have that heightened metabolism constantly. Now, something else that I didn't mention, which is interesting, that scientists just recently discovered. When I say recently, I'm talking this past summer. There's something called exerkines that were recently discovered, and basically what happens when you weight train with heavy weights, muscles release these. You can think of them as these vesicles, these pockets, if you will, of stuff that goes out of the muscle and goes to adipose tissue, and it changes the metabolism of the fat cell. So the fat cell actually goes through greater lipolysis, and this is specifically caused via weight training. So something that's very interesting to note. Again, this was termed as exerkines. I'm gonna have to read more about it, but I just recently saw a post about this. I was unaware of this, but discovered this past summer. Okay, let's get to the message of the day. What is the message of the day on this day 40? Don't limit your challenges, rather challenge your limits. Definitely 100%, a lot of what we think we can't do, we can easily do. We just, generally speaking, human beings, we have low standards. It's true. You are capable of a lot more than what you're doing. I'm capable of a lot more than what I'm currently doing. The reason why I'm not doing it, or you're not doing it, is just because it requires a lot more work. It requires more effort. But even if we go above and beyond by 5% every single day, this is going to make a huge difference. So try to determine where your limits are with what you consider to be your challenges, and try to jump ahead of those. Okay, and you'd be surprised, I can at least speak personally, that there's a lot of things that, like, it's not even that I'm really conscious about it. There's just certain things that I see as challenges, subconsciously, that when I think about it and I realize, I'm like, wait a second, that's actually not that hard to do. So again, when it comes to these pillars and this challenge, let's take advantage and let's just do it. Don't think about it, just do it. Okay, so let's not limit our challenges, rather let's challenge our limits, right? Challenge our limits. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for the love of God, give some gratitude, and I'll talk to you all very soon.